I remember, making that video about Joe Biden being a liberal and conceding to Greg Abbott, whatever. I went really ballistic, and one of the things that I said in that video is that this country is fucking cooked. And I had no idea at the time that I was even more right than I was in the moment. And I was pretty fucking correct in saying that in the moment. But the reason that I would be correct to say this country is cooked is a little bit different now. Recently it came out that not only does Joe Biden struggle a little bit with being slower in his old age and whatever, something that is pretty typical and that I kind of assumed was the case. No, he literally is in the throes of advanced dementia. And I mean like advanced. Evidently there was a prosecution or like a special counsel investigation into him having mishandled some documents, something that isn't all too uncommon and I think deserved to be investigated and whatever. Ultimately, the documents were all returned in pretty short order, so no harm, no foul there. But it was revealed over the course of that investigation and through the course of several interviews that were leaked that Joe Biden has memory problems so severe that he, number one, cannot remember when he was vice president of the United States. Number two, cannot remember who other world leaders of other countries are, name-dropping François Mitterrand, the president of France who died in 1996 when he was at an international summit with Emmanuel Macron, who is alive and is president right now. And also name-dropped somebody, the former chancellor of Germany, who also died a while ago. When right now Olaf Scholz is the chancellor. That's number two, and number three. Also, could not recall within several years when his son Beau had passed away. Obviously, got a lot of sympathies, an old man and whatever, but like. This is more than just, your garden variety, growing old problems. This guy is the president of the United States, and the Democrats are trying to prop him up as the nominee for 2024, which is really concerning. Not from the perspective of me going to vote, right? No matter what, you could wheel out Biden's shambling corpse and that would be better than Donald Trump. And I would still vote. I would vote for Joe Biden's corpse in this election, if that's what it took. But from a politically strategic perspective, this is really bad. Like, really, really, really bad. Because while Trump also suffers from mental decline and advanced age, he's at least a little bit better at hiding it, if that makes sense. Trump kind of sounds like Trump, and he's got the charisma to sort of smooth that over. Joe Biden doesn't. And also, Joe Biden doesn't have a sycophantic base that will do literally whatever he says, because he's not Trump. So where am I going with this, right? Obviously, just for obvious reasons, it's bad that the president has very advanced signs of mental decline and instability and that sort of thing. But this is going to bring us ever closer to a Donald Trump electoral victory in 2024, which I think everybody can agree is a bad thing, right? That's not the hand you want to be dealt in this situation. And the Democrats, if you guys remember, were sort of advertising Joe Biden as a safe one-term president, but they didn't put in any of the legwork to find anybody else once he got in office. In fact, he just started campaigning, and the Democrats tried their best to clear the field for him, which is the absolute wrong idea. Basically, this election, I said it in the other video, but I'll say it again here. This election is going to be a race to the bottom, And we have to cross our fucking fingers and hope that the Democrats don't win that race. We have to hope that the Democrats lose the race to the bottom so that they win the election. Because, holy shit, I've never seen Democrats try to race to the bottom this hard before. Like, it's so bad that while at the same time the Democrats are propping up Joe Biden, saying he's our strongest candidate, there is polling data, which I have mixed feelings about polls in general, but these polls seem to be pretty alarming on their own. There's polling data that suggests that a generic Democrat that has like no name recognition will be better than Biden. And all the time, while the Democratic Party is trying to prop Joe Biden up, they are also trying to tee up Kamala Harris to take the spot for the presidency once Joe Biden grows too old, has to resign or whatever, because they know as well, like the Democratic Party also knows that like Joe Biden's brain is cooked, you know? It's not exactly a secret, and that really, really makes the Democrats look weak. It makes Joe Biden look weak, and like I say weak in the sense of like they just don't have much substance behind them. Like that, like this is your best guy. This like senile old man, you know. Really, really bad look, and it's making everybody's life in this country a lot worse and a lot more precarious for no good reason. Yeah, here's the tweet from the POTUS account. We are so fortunate to have a real leader, a true friend, and a historic vice president in Kamala Harris. We couldn't do this without you, Kamala. Posted February 8th, by the way, the same day that a lot of the news articles dropped about Biden's dementia being so advanced that he couldn't remember within several years when his son had died, when he had been vice president, who was the world leader of a given country right now, and all that. So I think it's pretty evident what's going to happen here, that the Democrats are going to try to win the election with Joe Biden as the candidate, and then basically the moment he wins or either gets sworn in, replace him with Kamala Harris, have him resign, have her be the president, so that there's not like the danger of Joe Biden dying in office, which of course assumes that he's not going to die in office between now and then, and also assumes that he's not going to lose the election to Donald Trump, which is also possible now that this information has been revealed. And with it becoming ever more unlikely by the day that Donald Trump will be convicted of any of the pending criminal charges against him. You know, as many people have remarked, we're sort of in uncharted waters here. The contest is between a literally senile old man who is like so senile he can't even conduct himself in a public press conference without having memory lapses, and somebody who has been indicted on 91 criminal charges with regards to mishandling classified documents, who incited an insurrection, and by all arguments from defending democracy should be barred from participating in the election at all. It's pretty wild, and for that reason, every institutional actor is piss scared to do anything, because this is what happens with liberal institutions whenever they encounter something unprecedented. They do nothing. They freeze, because like the entire ideology of institutionalism rests on just do what you've always done, which is to say usually nothing, but especially do nothing when you're confronted with something new, because you don't have an answer for that. You know, your system of ethics and policymaking fundamentally relies only on things that have already been done. Nothing new is possible, and like ethics, what are those? We only do what the law says, right? So this is gonna be one for the books. I definitely, there's a sentiment that I sympathize with that some people have been saying. I'm tired of witnessing major historical events. You know, I think I can second that. But that's where we're stuck right now. And it's really disturbing to me that the Democratic Party is so bad at their job, so bad at what they do, that Trump has all of the political baggage in the world bearing down on him, and he's still the favored candidate. Like, if Trump doesn't get a felony conviction between now and the election, he wins the election. That's what, like, consistently polls show that. I know I've talked a lot of shit about polls before, but when poll after poll after poll comes out saying the same thing with different samples, different groups, and whatever, it starts to get a little bit concerning. And I start to think that, you know, maybe this is actually leaning towards what's happening. Never mind the fact as well that one of my critiques of polling is that predicting an outcome makes that outcome more likely. So now that they've predicted the same outcome over and over and over again, it's that much more likely to happen that if Trump doesn't get convicted, he wins the election by virtue of Joe Biden being such a weak candidate on the Democratic side. And, you know, then with like, the only scenario where Trump consistently loses being the one where he's convicted of like numerous crimes. Honestly, I think, okay, I can't say for sure what the most likely outcome is because there's so little for me to go off of here. What I hope happens is that Trump doesn't win the election. I think that's pretty evident. I think whatever happens, it is likely that democracy is not necessarily cooked within the next 4 years. Very bold prediction, and that's concerning on its own because I had to add so many caveats. But there's fundamentally two initial possibilities. Either Biden wins the election or he doesn't. And if he doesn't, then there are three more possibilities. The Republicans maintain control of both chambers of Congress, or the Democrats have control of one chamber, or the Democrats have control of both chambers. If the Democrats have control over both chambers, they have to, and I mean have to, impeach Trump and remove him from office the moment he gets sworn in, because he's committed crimes against the United States, and he has attacked the foundations of democracy, etc., etc. That leaves like a non-0% chance that democracy is just fucked. In 2025, right? If even one chamber is controlled by Republicans, we lose. Because Democrats are, I don't trust Democrats to ideologically hold the line against fascism, because they, like, at the end of the day, they still believe in the 1990s civility politics of, like, good governance and all that stuff. And there's like a decent chance that they would compromise willingly with Republicans on some bill that had it snuck in as a provision that, like, oh, all trans healthcare is banned or something. Maybe not something that extreme, but like they would definitely be part and parcel to certain parts of the Republican agenda in 2025. Like, the Democrats just aren't smart enough as a bloc to put up ideological resistance to fascism, I think. Oh, what? That's down there now? I wish there were more I could say on the matter of, like, the 2024 election coming up. I think the one thing I feel ultimately comfortable predicting is that the Republicans are probably going to lose a lot of ground in the legislature at the very least, because they haven't been particularly good at providing red meat for their base. And what I mean by red meat is, like, the reactionary talking points that like get people galvanized. They have no shortage of reactionary talking points, but the Republican base doesn't like them very much anymore, if you guys have noticed. There's there's a subsection of the base that is thrilled by the anti-trans stuff and the woke groomers and whatever, and they'll go and vote for that. But when you think about the people who aren't necessarily part of that core, they wouldn't really care that much. They're like, yeah, okay, what are you doing for me, though? You know, the veneer of fascism has been up for long enough that some people are starting to peel behind it and see that ultimately the Republicans are still in some ways neocons, right? And I don't mean to say that neocons and fascists are the same, but, like, the kind of fascism that Republicans represent is is also state capitalist in the sense that they are anti-worker and they are pro-big business. They are pro inequality and pro austerity and all that. They won't even like feign interest in economic issues like the minimum wage and unionization and things like that. So they have to distract by offering like social reactionism as a bone to their base, like the rabid dogs that they are, or like the rabid dogs that they seem to behave like, you know. So on that reasoning, I think the Republicans are probably going to lose a significant amount of ground in the 2024 election, hopefully. It's just up to the Democrats to campaign on literally anything. You know, it'd be pretty hard. I've seen the Democrats blow this before, but it'd be pretty hard for them to do so. Certainly, I hope they don't. Even though the Democrats are going to still sink this country into apathy and economic backslide, they're going to do so less quickly than the Republicans, and they're going to do so in a way that actually allows room for political maneuvering for other more progressive actors to take the reins in some fashion and say, look, we need to start delivering on working class politics. We need to start appealing to the frustrations of common people in a way that lets us, you know, do policymaking to help people with those frustrations directly, instead of what Republicans do, which is like redirect that frustration and anger towards a completely unrelated issue. Or a completely unrelated non-issue. At the risk of rambling on, I think I'll leave it there.